Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Okay, here we go, Bows 101, Craft Central Designs style. Get your practice ribbons ready. I suggest you watch first, then watch it again and do it with me. You can do this. I always tell the story of how I learned to make these bows. I was in the rag shop, which was a craft store many, many years ago that went out of business. And I saw a woman there at the floral counter making a bow. And I said, "Can you show me?" And she did. And I went home and I practiced. And honestly, it was that easy. This is not a difficult bow to make. I'm going to break it down so that you can see and understand the composition and how to achieve it. Okay, you're going to need a measuring mat if you want to measure the loops of your bow. Now, maybe you feel that's more comfortable for you to start out. I have always, from the onset, eyeballed my loops. I don't use a ruler or a measuring mat. But if you're more comfortable with that, that's perfectly fine. I have this gray measuring mat that I use for cutting deco mesh. That works great. And then I also have another measuring tool that I made with wood blocks there. Now you're going to need a sharp pair of scissors for cutting the tails so you get a nice clean cut. But you're probably also going to want to have another pair for like cutting off pipe cleaners on the back of the bow, because you don't really want to keep cutting pipe cleaners with your good scissors. Now, pipe cleaners. I prefer good, sturdy, fluffy pipe cleaners. Now, craftoutlet.com has a great deal on pipe cleaners. If you go on there for ribbons, pick up some of their pipe cleaners. Really great price, nice pipe cleaners. I also pick them up at Hobby Lobby. Notice how full they are and substantial. And I'm going to show you the difference between that and Dollar Tree here in a minute. Now, I suggest that you get nice, sturdy pipe cleaners. I think they're much better to work with when you're creating the bows like I do. That is a Dollar Tree pipe cleaner. Do you see how flimsy it is? I don't care what the price is, you get what you pay for when it comes to pipe cleaners. They're not expensive at Hobby Lobby or on craftoutlet.com. I think sometimes the tendency is to think, you're getting a better deal at the Dollar Tree, but in some things you're just not. And pipe cleaners is definitely one of those things. So I urge you to get your pipe cleaners either at Hobby Lobby, craftoutlet.com, a craft store where the pipe cleaners are going to be thicker and more substantial and better wire. Let's talk about ribbon. Very, very, very important to choose the right ribbons for your projects. I absolutely love Celebrate ribbons at Michael's. Now, I don't buy them unless they're on sale. Most recent shopping trip to Michael's, they had a sale. Buy 2, get 3 free. How could you beat that? I mean, I had to go get as many rolls as I could. It was such a great deal because I love Celebrate ribbons. They're the ribbons that last. They're the easiest to work with. They're the prettiest. They're most well made. So I have here a 2.5-inch beautiful one from Michael's, the Celebrate ribbon. And I also showed you there a 1.5-inch. Beautiful wired ribbons. The fabric of the ribbons is so beautiful. They hold their shape. They're just, really, really top-notch as far as ribbon quality. I'm going to also advocate that you go on craftoutlet.com. I think their ribbons are amazing, and I'll show you those here in just a minute. But what I look for in my ribbons is the texture of the fabric of the ribbon. I do not like those types of fabrics that feel like a thin taffeta. I think they make, just not a good looking bow. These ribbons that have more of that cotton-like quality like this one, like the one I just had in my hand from Celebrate. Those are the ones that make the most beautiful, long-lasting bows. You will always be able to tell on the label if they're wired. They right there you could see Celebrate puts it on the side and on the main label. Always look for wired. If you purchase them on Amazon or on craftOutlet.com, be sure that you are getting wired. Now, I also love, love, love Celebrate burlap ribbons. They are just beautiful in quality. The wiring on the edges of the ribbon is awesome. The quality of the burlap fabric is awesome. Now, I guess you got the idea. I like Celebrate ribbons from Michael's. But I do get ribbons occasionally at Hobby Lobby, but only on the weeks that they're 40% off. Robert Stanley brand is a very beautiful ribbon. This is a white burlap wired ribbon, very pretty. I've used it on many occasions. Now, they are a little bit more pricey, but again, like I said, I only get them on the sale weeks. Now, most often I go to craftOutlet.com and I go to Michael's for my ribbons, but I do on occasion go to Hobby Lobby. Now, this is an example of the ribbon that you get at craftOutlet.com. It's called RG ribbon, or really great ribbon. I just call it RG because that's what's on the label, but you can see there it says really great ribbon, which is really very true about their ribbons. Beautiful quality fabric, beautiful wiring. They come in different widths, 2.5 inch or 1.5 inch. Those are the typical size ribbons or width ribbons that I use on my channel when I do projects. I'm showing you here how a good wired ribbon should behave on the edges. That's the beauty of wired ribbon, forming the loops of your bows. If you want to ripple your ribbon or curl your ribbon, that's what the wiring enables you to do. Always, always make sure you get wired ribbon if you're going to do a wreath or a swag or anything that you want your ribbon to hold its shape or your bows to hold their shape. This is a gorgeous ribbon. It doesn't have a particular label on it. I don't really know who the manufacturer is, but I can tell you it's from craftOutlet.com. Gorgeous ribbon. This one is reminds me of a tweed fabric. Just a beautiful, beautiful wired ribbon. And I always feel confident in ordering ribbons on craftOutlet.com. I have never been disappointed. Now, these ribbons are from Amazon. If you go on Amazon and you do a search for wired 2.5 inch ribbons or wired 2 inch ribbons or wired 1.5 inch, a lot of the stores on Amazon will have the multi-pack ribbons where you get like various colors in a gingham check or various polka dots. You can get those, and oftentimes they turn out to be very good ribbons of a very good quality fabric. So I would not discount going on Amazon. I have on a number of occasions done that. I've on occasion gotten really exquisite wired ribbons, which are a little bit more on the pricey side, like my pink watermelon ribbon, which I recently got another roll of that on Amazon. And yeah, it's a little more pricey, but it just depends on how much you want it, I guess, because you don't have the opportunity for a sale on Amazon. If you really want something, you'll probably find it on Amazon. You may not necessarily find it at the price that you would like. This kind of ribbon, you never want this for a wreath. Pretty for other things, for wrapping a gift or making ribbon flowers. This is an Offray ribbon. Offray is sold at Walmart. Love the narrow ribbons, but not the 2.5 inch for a wreath. Yes, it's wired, but it's so sheer that when you put it on a wreath, it's not going to show up. It's also not going to hold up. So avoid those sheer ribbons altogether. But I would go definitely for that brand in the narrow ribbons. Again, here's a Robert Stanley ribbon. I'm sure I bought this for some other purpose, certainly not a wreath. Beautiful for making ribbon flowers, but too sheer to put on a wreath. So I'm just trying to make the point here. If you get a good ribbon to start out with, it makes it a whole lot easier to make a fabulous bow. So be picky about your ribbons. Take advantage of sales. All right, now this is a Dollar Tree. I'm sorry, Dollar Tree, but yeah, I don't care for Dollar Tree ribbons. Okay, I don't think did you get much for your money. And it's of that kind of crinkly taffeta fabric that's only going to last for a short time on a wreath. When you make the loops, they crinkle and you don't get like a smooth loop, at least one that's going to last once you put it on the door with the weather elements. I'm sorry to say, but I don't find it a good deal, and I don't care for the fabric, and I think the wiring is also rather flimsy. Okay, so Dollar Tree is no longer my friend now that I put down their ribbons, but that's okay. I have to be honest because I'd rather not see you purchase these. Now, let's say, for example, you're going to make just a Halloween wreath that's going to be on your door for like a day. Okay, maybe that's okay if you want to just use that. But if you want an Easter wreath or a regular seasonal wreath that's going to last on your door, don't use Dollar Tree ribbons. That's just my opinion for whatever it's worth. Okay, this is a heavy burlap ribbon. This is so sturdy and just wow. And I got this on Amazon. So, you can pick up some really great ribbons on Amazon. This ribbon in a bow will last for 10 years. I'm sure it's so sturdy. You're going to see me make I'm probably exaggerating there, but you're going to see me make a bow here with this one. And I'm going to show you what it's like to create a bow with a really sturdy, solid ribbon that's going to hold its shape and be lasting for a good amount of time. All right, so I'm going to do a simple bow here with 4 loops and a center loop in the middle. Now, to start off, you're always going to want to determine exactly how long you want your tails, and that is determined by what piece you're going to put it on. Is it going on a swag or a wreath, and do you want it to cascade down longer or shorter? I mean, you have to determine that. So use your measuring mat, and you're going to pinch off. For example, I think this one was 10 inches. Pinch it really, really tight with your thumb and your index finger. That's the first thing you're going to start your bow. Now, if you want to measure your loops, feel free. If you want to learn to start just eyeballing it by estimating your loops, how big do you want your loops on, say, for example, a wreath? Let's say we're going for a 10-inch length of each loop. So you can place it down by your measuring mat. Now, your left hand is holding your tail, but your right hand is holding that 10-inch length space there. Now, you're going to place it at the center of your bow, which is right where you pinched your tail. Now, you're going to place it under your thumb, and you're going to take the other hand and scrunch it together. And then you're going to use your index finger and your thumb to squeeze that. Now, I'm doing this from a right-handed perspective. If you're a left-handed person, it's going to be the opposite for you. But I'm going to do it from a right-handed perspective, because I do a holding with my left hand and then forming of the loops with my right. Okay, now we need a loop on the other side. So think about your bow as having a midline. And we have one loop on the left. Now we want to create a loop on the right. So I have to twist my ribbon, or else I won't have the right side facing up when I fold over my loop. Now, for that same 10 inches, I fold it over, put it in the center, take my thumb, press it down, take my other hand, scrunch it up, and then stick it underneath my thumb and hold it with my index finger. That's loop number 2, or the first loop on the right side. Now I'm going to twist my ribbon. You always have to twist your ribbon so you have the correct side of the ribbon facing up. Most ribbons do not have a good, most ribbons are not double-sided. Okay, so that one side of the ribbon is definitely going to be the best side of the ribbon. So get used to twisting your ribbon. So I twisted it, and now I'm going to take another 10-inch long segment of my ribbon, which I can just easily do by placing it down there, press it in the center, put it under my thumb. Watch, I'm going to do it right there. Now take my other hand while I'm holding it with my thumb, scrunch it in the center. And then I put it underneath my index finger, and I'm holding that very tightly. Now, if you want to check your loops to see if they're even, place them up against one another. That's how you do it. If you need to lengthen it, pull it a little bit the opposite direction. If you want to shorten it, pull the ribbon down right there. Twist your ribbon now. Now we're going to do loop number 2 on the right side. Twist your ribbon. Now don't forget to do that. Now you're going to take another 10-inch long segment, bring it to the center, place it under your thumb, scrunch it with your right hand. Stick it underneath your thumb and underneath your index finger. Now everything is being held in the center with your thumb and your index finger. Everything is being held together right there. So we have 2 very pretty teardrop-shaped loops on each side. 2 loops on one side of my hand, 2 loops on the other, holding everything firmly in the middle. Do you see how I'm holding it there? I'm showing you. That's important. You need to develop that skill where you're always holding it very firmly in the center. Now I'm going to take a pipe cleaner. I'm going to use odd colored pipe cleaners to show you so that you can keep track of them as I apply them to the bow so that you can see what I'm doing here. I normally match my pipe cleaners as close as possible when I'm doing a project, but for this, I'm going to use odd colors. Okay, I'm going to place that pipe cleaner right down the center. It's going to replace my fingers. Now I'm going to wrap that pipe cleaner around super tight, pull it and squeeze it, scrunch it right up in the center. Bring it around the back, crisscross it, and twist 2 to 3 times. Now, this pipe cleaner is now holding your loops together. I can let go. Everything is being held. All right, now, this part is, I don't think tricky, but watch carefully. I'm going to create a center loop. All bows should have a center. Something should be in the center. and I think most times it should be a loop. Twist your ribbon right there so that you have the right side of the ribbon facing up. So what we're going to do is just roll that piece of ribbon that you see sitting in the center there under and shape it into a loop. Now I'm going to do this a few times for you. Okay, I'm showing you. Here's the center. What we want to do is roll that ribbon under, and then we're going to catch it in the center underneath our thumb, just like we did for all the loops. roll it under, catch it with my thumb. I'm going to show you again. Roll it under, curling it under. I have my fingers around the ribbon there. Catch it with my thumb, press it down. That's how you're going to hold that loop until you get your pipe cleaner in. Roll it under. Stick it underneath my thumb there. Now my thumb is going to be holding it right there. Now, with my other hand, I'm going to scrunch that ribbon up and stick it under my thumb in there. Now I'm holding it tightly. I'm showing you here. When I scrunched it up, I stuck it underneath my thumb. That's what you see there. Now that's holding that center loop, and that's how you finish off your bow. Take the pipe cleaner from around the back that you used to wrap around that bow, poke it through. Now, I'm going to hold that with my right hand and pull it through with my left. Pull it through. Now, that's what's going to hold that loop in the center, and it's not going to go anywhere. Bring it around the back, and again, you're twisting, and now your loops are all secure. Now, this is a super simple 4-loop bow with a center loop going right down the middle. If you can achieve this, you can achieve a mixed ribbon bow. Now, I'm going to cut off my tails about the same length that I cut the other tail. Now, you're going to notice that one of your tails is over the top of your bow, and the original tail that you cut is below the bow, right there. So I need to get the tail on top to match up with the tail on the bottom. So I twist my ribbon, and the end of that, which is going to be the tail, I give it a little gentle fold. And I'm going to poke it right through that center loop, retrieve it on the other side with my other hand, pull it through, marry it up with the tail on the bottom. You hear me say this all the time in my videos. Marrying up the tails, meaning just bringing them together underneath the bow. Now from here, you've already made your bow. Then it's just a matter of whether you want to angle the ends of your tails, because you have to finish those off, or dovetail. I am an angler, but you do you, however you like to do it. So now we have a very simple bow, but if you can achieve this very simple bow, you will be able to go on and make bows as extravagant and as full and as mixed, if you will, as you wish. Now, I started with a really simple bow because this is the basics right here. If you can do this, you can move on. So I suggest you practice this first. Practice making your loops. Practice doing that center loop to finish off in the middle. Watch the video. Do it with me. Now, like I said at the onset, I just sat and practiced this. And then I did not find it difficult to do. The only thing that I could suggest that is even remotely close to the way that I create bows, that you could create a bow, is with the Easy Bow Maker. I think that's about the closest. If you find this to be, maybe you have arthritis in your hands, maybe that's difficult. You could maybe, go to use the Easy Bow Maker, but I would suggest this method. It's just phenomenal. Notice that my loops are all in those pretty teardrop shapes. Now, how you shape your loops is up to you, but very easy to do. All right, now I'm going to show you a mixed ribbon bow using exactly the same technique. I'm just going to use this gingham check. For some reason, this just never matched anything that I've, been making as far as wreaths. So I'm using this as my scrap ribbon to show you how to do this. Okay, I measure off 10 inches, scrunch it. Place it between my index finger and my thumb. That's going to be the center point of our bow. Remember that. Okay, so I think that I'm going to make these loops for this bow at 12 inches. And I'm going to fold it over at 12 inches. I'm going to show you that again. Determine where 12 inches is. Keep your fingers on that mark. Press it to the center. Slide it under your thumb. Scrunch it with the other hand. See how easy that was? Loop number 1. Tail on the bottom. Loop number 1 on the left side. Nice teardrop shape. Now we're going to twist our ribbon, right? We have to twist because the other side of the ribbon, when we fold it over, if you don't twist, you're not going to see the right side of the ribbon. So now we're going to the right side. Twist. We're going to use that same 12 inches. Either eyeball it or use your mat or use a ruler, whatever you like. Fold it over, hold that 12-inch mark with your fingers, put it right to the center. Place it underneath your thumb, right there. And then take the other hand, scrunch it up, shove it underneath your thumb. And now you have loop number 1 on the other side. Now what do we want to do? We want to twist the ribbon. To check your loops, feel free to do it like that. That's the way I do it. But, rather than to measure, I never ever have measured. I've just been an eyeballing kind of girl with my bows. Okay, so now I'm going to go to create loop number 2 on the left side. So I'm going to twist my ribbon, and I'm going to fold over my loop. There's a little bit of crinkle in that ribbon, which is, one of my pet peeves. Yeah, see that? It's almost like a defect. Okay, 12 inches. Fold it over. Press it to the center. Lift up your thumb. Scrunch that ribbon underneath your... Here we go. Let's put my thumb there. Bam, right there. Scrunch it with my other fingers on my other hand. And shove it underneath my thumb. Now my thumb and index finger are holding everything together as I create this bow. Loop number 2 on the left side is done. Now let's do loop number 2 on the right side. Now you saw me make an adjustment on the loop size. You could pull that ribbon forward or back it up and adjust your loops right as you're doing it. It's very easy to do. Now, what do we want to do? Twist the ribbon, right? Yes, right there. Now, this is loop number 2 on the right side. Twist the ribbon because when I fold it over, I want the right side of the ribbon facing up. So I take that same 12 inches, measure it if you like. Bring it Fold it over and scrunch it in the center. Put it under your thumb. Scrunch it up with the other hand. And now we have loop number 2 on the right side. Do you see how easy this is? Okay. So remember, keep everything firm and collected in the center using your thumb and your index finger. Now, I'm going to create 3 loops on this one, okay? So, I twist my ribbon. I'm going to use that same 12 inches. And I'm going to fold it over just like I did all the other loops. 12 inches right there. Bring it to the center. Press it to the center. slide it under my thumb, just like that. Put it underneath my thumb, and now scrunch it with my fingers right there. This is how you construct this bow. And it's as easy as that. And one thing that I hear more than anything else from my subscribers, people who view my channel, and from people in my everyday life, that my bows are just the bomb. And they really are. But it's like, it's not hard to do. And I always say that. It really isn't. I don't have any kind of magic fingers. It's really not that hard to do. So I'm hoping that you're getting something from this bow tutorial. Thumb down, scrunch it with my other hand with my fingers. What do we have here? We have 3 loops on each side. Now, I am going to make this my base bow. So because it's my base bow, meaning that this bow is going to be at the bottom of the stack of a mixed ribbon bow. So I don't need a loop yet, okay? I'm going to create a loop on my next bow. But for this one, all I need is 3 loops on each side. Now, I could do a bigger one. I could do 4 loops on each side, or I could just do 2 loops on each side. If I wanted to make a super simple bow, I would just put 1 loop on each side and a loop down the center. It's that easy to change it up, to mix it up. You can also mix your widths of ribbons. I would always put the more narrow width ribbon toward the top if you're doing a mixed ribbon bow. Okay, 3 loops on each side. I put my pipe cleaner around, twisted it in the back. Now, I'm going to take that tail there, or that piece of ribbon that I have not quite cut off yet from the spool, and I'm just going to bring it down and marry it up with the other one, which was, I think, around 10 inches. Doesn't matter, whatever length you want it to be. And that's how I do the tail. I just bring it around and meet it up with the other one on the bottom. And that's the one on the bottom is the one that you started out with at the very beginning and pinched with your fingers. Now look how easy that was. Now I have a very pretty bow for the base of my mixed ribbon bow. Now for this mixed ribbon bow, I'm just going to use 2 ribbons. I don't want to overwhelm you too much, but I've used as many as 5 different ribbons on a bow. You can keep stacking and, layering them up as you like. Okay. Now I'm going to do another one just like that, only this time I'm going to put a loop in the center because I'm going to be finishing off my bow. And remember, I said I think the center of a bow should always have something in the middle to make it look finished. And what I'm showing you here today to do is to just create a loop. I'm showing you what it looks like from the back side. And that's it. Okay, now I'm just going to take this pink. I'm not using this on a wreath or anything. This just happens to be some of my ribbon that I never quite matched up with anything I needed it to. So I'm just creating a bow here for you today. And I created a 10-inch tail. Now remember, first thing you're going to do is pinch that tail to mark off that 10 inches. Scrunch it and hold it with your left hand. You're going to be forming the loops with your right. It's the opposite, of course, if you're left-handed. You'll develop a skill for this if you're, if you're right or you're left-handed, you'll figure it out. It's basically just understanding the composition of the bow and how to achieve that. Okay, so we're going to go to the right side. Fold that ribbon over. What are we going to do? Take our thumb, Place it right there in the center. Use our other hand to scrunch it up. Shove it underneath your thumb. Hold it all together. Now, if you're creating a mixed ribbon bow, for the next layer, you're going to want to make those loops a little bit smaller so that when they sit, that bow sits on top of the base bow, you'll be able to see the base bow loops better if you create a little bit smaller loop. So our other loops were 12. Let's go to around 10. Fold it over, take my thumb, put it on top. There you go. Scrunch it with my other fingers on my other hand. Push it together, shove it underneath your thumb. It's that easy. Now what do we want to do? Loop number 2 on the other side, right? On the left side. So what do? Twist our ribbon, right? Twist. Now we're going to go to the other side and form our 10-inch loop. We're going to fold it over, press that 10-inch mark right in the center. Place your, oops, I'm showing you again. Place your thumb down and scrunch it with your other fingers. Shove it underneath your thumb. There you go. Loop number 2 on the left side. See how you can match up your loops there to see if you're on track as far as size. I do that. Like I said, I don't measure my loops, but it's perfectly fine to measure your loops if you're more comfortable with that. Same 10 inches. Just going to fold it over. Press it down in the center. Take my thumb. Press it right over that. Take my other hand. I'll show you my fingers there. Scrunch it up. Shove it underneath my thumb. I'm holding everything right down the center. You can see my index finger wrapped around there and my thumb. Now what do? I think I'm going to just keep that layer at 2 loops on each side. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take the pipe cleaner and wrap it around. That's going to replace my fingers holding that. Bring it around the back, and then I pull it super tight because I want that nice and scrunched up there in the center. And I'm going to twist those pipe cleaners super tight together 2 to 3 times. Now, what I want to do is create that center loop. This is the part that kind of confuses people when you're learning this bow process, but it's really quite easy. Showing you there the teardrop shape of the loops. All right, so I'm going to twist my ribbon because I'm going to be folding it over in the center. And this is going to create my little center loop. Okay. So I'm going to now take my fingers and roll the ribbon under. Shaping it, I want to say if I had to stretch out the loop, it might be maybe 3.5 inches. Depending on if you want a tighter loop, you can make it less. If you want it bigger, you can make it around 4. And then I take my thumb and hold that down. Take my other hand and scrunch it up. And then I push it underneath my thumb. It's the same as when you make loops. You're just doing kind of a rolled under loop right there in the center. Now I'm showing you, see my thumb in there? Holding everything down. Now I'm going to take my pipe cleaner from around the back. Pop it through the center. Switch my hands, holding all that down in the center. And then I'm going to take my left hand and pull it through. Now I'm going to bring it around the back and twist it very tightly. And now you have the top tier of your mixed ribbon bow. But we have one more thing to do here. We have one tail on the bottom and one tail on the top. So what I'm going to do is cut off my ribbon from the spool at the same 10 inches. Now remember what we did here? Twist the ribbon a little bit so that when you fold it over, you'll see the right side of the ribbon. Do a gentle fold and pop it through the center. Retrieve it on the other side. Pull it through. Marry it up with the tail on the bottom. And there you have a very pretty little bow. Now this, resting on the other bow that we made, will create a very pretty mixed ribbon bow for your wreath or your swag. And like I said, you can, once you get this part down, you can do 3 layers by just creating basically 2 base ribbon bows, and then the one on top gets the center loop. It's as simple as that. So when you're stacking bows and creating them, you're basically creating all base bows. And then when you get to the top one, the top bow that's going to go on the very top of your bow, that's the one that you put the center loop. They all can be connected very easily together with a pipe cleaner. Now you'll find that once you master this part of the bow making process, once you get that down, you'll see how creative you can be with bows. And let me tell you, they can make or break your wreath. Meaning that if you put a fabulous bow with mixed ribbons to create lots of visual interest, you will have a much more fabulous bow than if you just place a simple, say for example, just a flat burlap bow on your wreath. It's going to make a huge difference. And by a flat burlap bow, I mean maybe one that you pre-made bow that you purchased in a store. There's just no comparison. Okay, let's see how to connect those two together. We have the tails on the back of the top bow. We're going to wrap it around the base, pressing the centers together, aligning them, bringing those pipe cleaner tails around the back. And you want to check before you go and twist your pipe cleaners. Check and make sure that everything's aligned, meaning that the bows are lined up, the centers with one another. And you're going to bring the tails around the back, pull it super, super tight, and twist. I'm showing you here, align your centers. Now you can always just take a full-size pipe cleaner. Usually when you do a lot of mixed ribbon bows, by the time you stack up your bows, you'll find that you're going to need a full-size pipe cleaner to just pop through that center loop, bring it around the back and twist it, and then attach it to your wreath or your swag. So go ahead and twist, and then that's going to adhere both of your bows together. And you can see here why you should match your pipe cleaners to your bow, because it's so unsightly to have weird colored pipe cleaners. I mean, even if it's just white, at least it's better than, I just have a thing about that. Coordinating your pipe cleaners to your bows. Just me. Okay, so you're going to pull your tails down. Now, you hear me often, if you follow my channel, talk about layering your tails. I always like to have my base bow, the bottom bow, with the longest tail. And then as you graduate up the bow, for example, this one only has 2 layers. So I'm going to make that pink gingham check tail just a little bit shorter. I like to angle my tails. That's my style. You can dovetail if you like. So when you see these tails layered, you see how pretty it looks, that you can actually see the different ribbons that are used on the wreath. So now I have a very pretty gingham check bow that I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I hope that it has served to increase your confidence that you can do this. It's, as I said, the most common comment I get in my life on my channel is, that intimidation about the bow making. Oh, I can't do that. But yes, you can. I just showed you. It's very simple. If you don't get it at first, do it again. Do it again, do it again, and do it again. I'm sure I did when I was learning. But once you got it, it's like, aha, that was not so hard. And look how pretty. I tell you, there's just nothing like finishing off a beautiful project with a bow that you can be proud of. That's going to just embellish your wreath or your swag or whatever it is that's going on. And you'll just be like so incredibly happy that you did it. Okay, so that's it. All my beautiful tear-shaped loops. Showing you on the back here what it looks like. You should be able to see the wrong side of your ribbon on the back because your right side of the ribbon is facing forward of your tails. Now you can see the layers as we talked about the construction of the bow. Everything layered upon one another. That's what creates the fullness of the bow, the visual interest, the difference between the patterns and the ribbons. And here's our very basic bow. And even just to achieve that very basic bow, from there, just keep working on it until you master it. And that's it. I hope this helps you. Please let me know in the comments if you try this technique and if you were able to accomplish this technique. And then tell me how excited you are once you do. I love that part the most. Okay, so here are our two bows that we created today, that you see me create so often on my channel. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it helps you, and I hope you will let me know if you were able to create these bows on your own. Okay, until next time, you all take care.